This is EB2K. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. Now, if you look on the screen now, you see that it says Story Time with EB2K and Shakira 2K. Now, this would be a special story time because of its duality. First, I will share a personal story time with you related to my experience. And then after that, I would tie my story time into a story time about Shakira and her experience. So this should be a very informative and entertaining story time because it involves me personally and also involves Shakira 2K personally as well. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this story time. In addition to the story time, I've added some additional content. First, I will make an announcement about an idea that I have for a music premiere with Lauryn Hill. I'm going to share with you an idea that I have going, and I'll probably will premiere Lauryn Hill this week, but it's going to be a little bit different. So I'll share that announcement with you later on in this video, and I want to get your feedback on it in the comment sections as well. Also, too, I will make a revelation on the hacker/stalker that has been a pest to Shakira and I over the past few months or so. I'm going to reveal that character to you in a very entertaining format. And lastly, I will close with a dedication to Mama Jessie as well as Shakira's grandpa. It will be a very special ending. I have already shared the ending with you on a previous video, but I wanted to do it again because I've gotten so much positive feedback on that closing. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this is EB2K. Let's get it. This is EB2K. All right, we're about to begin the story time. Again, this story time is called The Blowout. And I know you may have a raised eyebrow with the title of the story. But as I tell it, you will start connecting dots. And you will connect those dots as we move to the second part later on with a story time about Shakira 2K. But first, let's do the first part about EB2K. Again, this is my story time, and it's called The Blowout. So let's begin, shall we? Okay. So in my childhood, I had a very close friend. We're going to call him D for the purpose of the story time. D and I, we met in the 9th grade, starting in high school. We both participated in the honors program at our high school. That was very exclusive. As a matter of fact, joining in the 9th grade, let's say there was 100 people in the 9th grade in the honors class or honors program. There may have been, I would say, 5 black people in that honors program in the 9th grade. I think it was 3 black girls, 2 black guys. I was the one, and D was the second black guy. So that meant that when we went to classes in the honors program, rarely did we see any black people, okay? So that meant that when we saw each other, we were like, oh, okay, there's another black person in this honors program. Obviously, we need to kind of know each other and get together because, you know, we need to stick together in situations like this because we don't know what's coming down the pipe. So naturally, D and I gravitated towards each other as the only 2 black guys in the honors program in the 9th grade going into high school. Now remember, numbers start going down as you go to the next grade in high school. So even though there are so many people in the 9th grade, by the time, 10th and 11th, 12th grade, the total number of people in the honors program had dwindled down because only the strongest survive And we were able to survive all those 4 years. A lot of people didn't. So just to make a long story short, this is how I met one of my best friends in childhood, D. We both met in high school, joining the honors program, and we graduated together, the top 10 in our class on our senior year. So just give you a backstory of who D was in my life. Okay. Now, moving on forward, after we graduated high school, we both sought to be engineers. Okay. He went to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is one of the top engineering schools in the world. And he was able to go there on scholarship. And I also went on scholarship, not to Georgia Tech, but I went to another school, the University of Alabama. Roll Tide, Roll Tide. So even though he went to another school in Atlanta and I was in Tuscaloosa, we kept in contact with each other just to see how things were going on. And a lot of times he would come visit me and I would come visit him, just to stay in touch with each other. And sometimes we would take road trips, just to kind of get away as college students and have fun, right? Okay, so on one particular road trip, it was me and him and also some girls. We were going on a road trip, and the girls were in the back seat. I was in the front seat, and he was driving his truck. At the time, he had a Ford Bronco, okay, an SUV. Similar, I don't know if a lot of people remember the SUV that O.J. Simpson had in his car chase back in the day, right before, when his, ex-wife was murdered and they were chasing him. I don't know if you guys can recall that he was driving a Ford Bronco. It was like an old style SUV at the time. Well, D also had an SUV, Bronco too. It's an SUV. It wasn't as wide, but it was kind of narrow and it's set up high. Okay. I'm telling you this because this is going to be an important part of the story later on. So we're on a road trip, right? And we're riding. I'm riding. He's driving his SUV, and I'm riding in it, as well as some people in the back seat. Ford Bronco. Okay. At that time, I was not seat belt aware as I am now. So while we were on the highway and during the trip, whatever, I was not wearing my seatbelt. Okay. He was not wearing his seatbelt. Okay. This consciousness of wearing a seatbelt wasn't as strong as it is now back, because this is like I would say, the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Okay. The push for wearing seatbelt was not as strong as it is now, obviously. So at the time, to be honest with you, I was not wearing a seatbelt. He was not wearing a seatbelt. I don't think the people in the back seat were wearing seatbelts as well. Okay. Now, while on the highway, D, I don't know what he was doing, but he did something real weird, like some type of swerving, and then he straightened back up. And I said, man, jokingly, I said, oh my God, man, listen, you need to pay attention. You're going to kill me up here. As a matter of fact, let me put my seatbelt on before, I fly out the window. This is what I said, right? This is what I said when he did something crazy on the highway. I jokingly put on my seatbelt, right? It wasn't 10 seconds after I put on my seatbelt that all of a sudden his right front tire blew out. Okay? Just randomly blew out. Now, I don't know if, how you guys, if anyone of you been in a situation like this, in like an emergency situation or an accident, but while it's happening, it doesn't seem as bad as it is, or you seem like you're kind of in a dream, if you will. And that's how it was when his tire blew out, right? So I just put my seatbelt on 10 seconds earlier, right? All of a sudden the tire blows out. And so we're kind of swerving a little bit, going left, going right. And it didn't seem like it just seemed like it was going in slow motion, right? And I think I even I put my hand on the steering wheel because he's about to go over on the right side of the highway. So I was trying to make sure we were straightened up. But at the time, everything was kind of going in slow motion. And my mind said, well, okay, we just need to straighten up a little bit. We'll be okay, right? But here's the thing, man. With those type of SUVs that sit up high, if a tire blows out in a certain speed, there is a high probability that it's going to eventually tilt over and start flipping, right? Because once you lose control and once it tilts over, it's hard to straighten back up. Now, remember, if you got like a wide body vehicle and a tire blows out, you're not going to get that much of a tilt. But if you're in an SUV that's real narrow and sits up high, if a tire blows out, it's going to tilt, right? It's going to tilt. And that's exactly what we did. His Ford Bronco, when the tire blew out, it tilted. And when it tilted, there was no coming back from tilting. It went on and flipped. And when I tell you it flipped, it flipped. We flipped. That truck flipped from our side of the highway across the median, across the other side of the highway, dodging cars coming our way, and then it flipped over in a ditch on the other side of the highway. Okay, I just want to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. We were on one side of the highway, it tilted, it flipped. It flipped, I don't know how many times. It flipped so much that it flipped from our side over the median, on the other side of the highway, and then on their side, the ditch on their side. Okay? Remember now, I jokingly put my seatbelt on 10 seconds before this happens. Jokingly. When the truck flipped on the other side of the highway in the ditch, we started off with 5 people in the car. When we stopped flipping, there was 2 people in the car. It was me and me in the front seat and a girl in the back seat. Okay? My friend D, who was driving, flew out of the front window. Flew out of the front window. The 2 other people that were in the back seat flew out of the back window. Right? So that meant when the truck stopped and I was in a ditch, I had to crawl. Now remember, it was flipping, so that means the truck itself was almost like a tuna can at that point because it was bent out. I had to climb and maneuver my way out of the window to get out of this truck that had flipped 20 times. Then I had the girl that was left in the back seat, I had to try to get her out and pull her out of this truck. Luckily, we were okay. And listen, I was okay because obviously I had my seatbelt on and did not fly out of the window like my best friend did who was driving because he did not have his seatbelt on. So here we are climbing out of a tuna can. And now we got to go back to the highway to see what actually happened. Now, remember, at this point, I don't know if these people that were in the car, especially my friend D, I don't know if they're dead or alive, but I'm about to go see. I'm about to go see. So I run back to the highway and I run back to where they were. They were all over. We had clothes and luggage, all that luggage and clothes was all over the highway. D flew out of the window. He was lying on the highway. The other girls were lying on the highway, all scarred up. Because remember, they flew out, which means their bodies were bouncing on asphalt. Their bodies were bouncing on asphalt. So they were just laying in the middle of the highway, all hurt from just falling out of the truck. So I run to my friend Daryl, D. And so he's lying on the highway, with blood flowing out of his head. And I was just holding his hand and looking at him, and he was looking at me, and he was praying that he wouldn't die. He was praying, and I was praying that he wouldn't die. That's how drastic this was. Okay? To go ahead and end the story right quick, nobody died. Okay, nobody died, and we were lucky in that. But D still has scars on him from that wreck. And the girls, nobody was handicapped, but they had like scars. They were all scarred up as well, and everybody had to go to the emergency room to to be taken care of. Okay, but this is the result of the tire blowout, and obviously this is why I named this story time the blowout. And I'm telling you this story to set up the next part of the story about Shakira 2K. Because we had a conversation about this story and we talked about it. Shakira and I talked about it, and we talked about how this story that I just shared with you ties into a personal story about her. Okay. So with that being said, we shall move on to the second part of this story called The Blowout that relates to Shakira 2K. Okay, let's get it. This is EB2K 2K. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move into the second part of this story time called The Blowout. This part of the story time will be about Shakira 2K. The first part was about EB2K 2K, but I will make the connection between the two right now. So let's get into it. Let's talk about a personal experience with Shakira 2K. And obviously, Shakira and I talked about this part of the story time, and she has given me permission to share the story with you because I think it is important to keep you guys aware of what's going on with Shakira, because it obviously affects her career and obviously affects her connection with you guys in social media. And let me explain. So when we shared some of our music premieres and some of our story times and other videos that we produce, she shares it with you guys on Instagram. And a lot of you watch our premieres and also watch the live chat. And you see sometimes when she's posting messages in the chat room, it's being deleted within seconds. Sometimes I try to copy and paste it and put it back up there for her, but a lot of times it goes so quickly that I'm not able to do so. But obviously we have, excuse me, obviously we have a hacker. We have a hacker that goes into her YouTube account and deletes her messages, pretends to be her sometimes in her own YouTube account. And also the hacker does that in her Skype account. Now, the devilish part of all this is not only does the hacker go into her account and pretends to be her, but at the same time, he doesn't even allow her to go into her account. So it's two parts to this ridiculousness, is that the hacker takes over the account and doesn't allow Shakira to go into her own account. Right. And then when he takes over, sometimes, the hacker deletes her post. Then sometimes he pretends to be her and communicates with me as if he's her. Right. And then I called him out on it. And then he recognized that, yeah, okay, well, I'm just a hacker pretending to be her. This is how of a dumb fuck the hacker is, right? Like he'll say something pretending to be Shakira. Then I said, yeah, right, Jeremy. That's his name. Jeremy is the name. But I call him Jeremy because I think he's gay by the way he's act. For him to have this much time and energy doing things that are so irrelevant, there's no way in the world this dude has a woman. But anyway, so the hacker pretends to be Shakira, deletes her post in chat, and does all kind of other craziness, right? But here's the deal. Where I fought him for his actions, I fought even further the person that's paying him to do this shit. And the only person that has the time, the resources, and the money is her mom and her grandpa. Both of them have motive. Both of them have motive that they don't think I'm good enough for Shakira, or I don't, I'm not from the upper echelon, if you will, of that area. And so I'm not good enough for Shakira, I guess. I don't know what it is that they personally have for me. But her Mama Jessie, as well as Grandpa, and some bonehead, maybe 3 or 4 bonehead family members, for some reason have it in for me. And they've obviously used their resources and money to pay a hacker and a stalker to try to break me and Shakira up. Now, that's the backstory, right? So it's not only just hacking her social media accounts, it's actually physical stuff in real life, okay? So her cell phone is being monitored and being cut on, cut off whenever the person feels like it. She has actually had things put on her car that tracks her movements physically. Like when she drives from one part of the city to another, that's tracked because of her grandpa paid off a security guard to allow somebody to come through her residence and put shit on her car so that she can be tracked at all times. I thought about, because when she was telling me these stories of how she seems to always be followed, I said, have you checked to see if you got some type of tracking mechanism on your car? And sure enough, once she had it checked out, and Shakira has multiple cars, but almost on every car she had tracking mechanism installed. So that means somebody paid security off to allow somebody to come into her property and install tracking mechanisms on her car. This is how ridiculous our situation is. And the thing about it is, I know as I tell you this, you're not believing it, and I wouldn't either. But trust me when I tell you, it is true. I can show you evidence that it's true. And I wouldn't believe it unless I saw evidence myself. And I'm being tracked. Just a little quickness. I'm being tracked through business security systems. Let's say, for instance, I go to Longhorn Steakhouse, right? These resources, these are ex-FBI. They have the resources where they can tap into Longhorn's security system, right? Look at me eating through the security camera, right? Take pictures of me eating. Shakira right now, almost every day, she gets pictures of, when I'm on business travel, she gets pictures sent to her where I go every time I go into a business. And I can go into a shoe store, I can go to a restaurant, I can go, any type of place that has a security system. They can tap into it, look at me doing whatever I'm doing, take a picture of it, and send it back to whoever they want. That's how ridiculous. Let's say, for instance, I go to Longhorns, right? And then when my bill comes, I write, I close out the bill and I have a pen and I go to the receipt and I write my signature and all that, right? This dumb fuck would take a picture of me doing that, send it to Shakira and say, look at your boyfriend giving his phone number to the waitress. Okay? Listen, yes, it is that ridiculous, okay? It is that ridiculous. Okay, so I'm just giving you a precedence of what is about to come. So let's move on to the next part of the story. Okay, guys, let's move on to the next part of the story dealing with Shakira. So I just gave you backstory and precedence on how ridiculous this situation is, on how Shakira is being monitored, hacked, and stalked, as well as I am being monitored, hacked, and stalked through security cameras, okay? So this situation has gotten so ridiculous and so dangerous. Even though Shakira and I are together, sometimes when I come back, in town from business, sometimes I just have to get my own hotel room because I don't know the danger that is out there in terms of how far they're willing to go in this stalking. So I have to get a private room, a private hotel, and we have to get private phones to talk to Shakira. I have the private phone to talk to Shakira to bypass our surveillance. Okay, so on a couple occasions, Shakira has made an effort to come to wherever I am secretly. Okay, but remember, she's being monitored. So let's say she does, get into her car, even with her own security, right? And she tries to come see me. Her mom and grandpa have personnel in place to stop her from coming to see me. And I know you're saying, what are you talking about, Ebony Man? Okay, well, let me break it down for you. Let's say she gets in her car and comes see me, right? So the security with her have been paid. Okay? They will play along with her, get in the car with her, ride with her. But they will find some type of excuse to stop her from going. And I'm gonna give you an example. One time she went to come see me one time, and the tire blew out. Now remember, the story time is called the blowout, right? So she got into her car to come see me with her security, and the front tire blew out. Which means the security said, oh, well, you know what? The tire blew out. I guess we can't go see your boyfriend. And so they didn't know, they act like they didn't know how to change a fucking tire. And Shakira, who was prepared and dressed up to come see me, was stuck on the side of the highway with two sorry-ass security guards that couldn't change a fucking tire. And she didn't stay on the highway for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. No, multiple hours. I think it was 3 or 4 hours. Okay? I just want to make sure you understand what we're talking about here. Now, so that meant that somebody paid her security to fake like they were going on with her to come see me. But somehow, remember I told you they had, if somebody put tracking mechanism in your car, that means somebody installed something on your car. And if somebody was able to install tracking mechanism in your car, they could have also installed something on your tire. Why wouldn't they? If they got the resources to do one, they should have the resources to do the other. So it is plausible that whoever installed the tracking mechanism on her car also installed something on her tire to blow out, just a worst case scenario. And that's what they did on one occasion. To make sure that Shakira does not make it to me, somebody paid security to not make it go through, and also they paid to have a mechanism on a vehicle so the tire can blow out. And I suspect who it is. I think it's her mom. And let me tell you why. In this first situation when her tire blew out, when she told her mom about it, her mom was nonchalant. It'll be okay. It's not that bad. And then after hours and hours of waiting for help on the highway with this tire, with her own security, sorry-ass security at the time, did not change it. She had to call an emergency truck guy, AAA. The AAA guy came and fixed replaced the tire within minutes and looked at the sorry-ass security guard like, what are you good for? What are you good for? Even the damn AAA guy was embarrassed. Now, how in the hell you got a flat tire that can change within minutes, but you ain't doing it? And why would you have a young lady like this on the highway stranded with hours where other things could happen to her? And how in the hell you got there's a mama who says that it's not that bad, it's okay, and I'll be there. And here she comes hours later acting like she fucking Wonder Woman trying to save her. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of a sorry-ass woman would plan and organize a situation that threatens the life of her daughter, right? And then after the situation over, presents herself as the hero. Think about what I just said. What kind of mama creates a dangerous situation, pays people to do dirt, puts their own daughter in life-threatening situations, acts nonchalant about it, and then presents herself at the ending as somebody who is a fucking hero coming to save her? And listen, you think that story is bad? I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to do you one better. There was a second time she tried to come see me, right? A second time. This is a whole nother story. This time she had family members chasing her on the highway. Her grandpa instructed certain family members to go stop her. Yes, that happened. And guess what, y'all? Guess what? Her front tire blew out again. Shakira's front tire blew out again. Now I'm raising eyebrows. Because what are the chances that you have a tire blowout, just general driving? How in the hell you got 2 tire blowouts like within 6 months? That alone is ridiculous. It is not plausible for you to have 2 tire blowouts within 6 months. And in both instances, you had the blowout when you were coming to see your boyfriend. You didn't have a blowout when you was going to, I don't know, to the spa. You didn't have a blowout when you was going to visit your mama. You didn't have a blowout when you was going to the grocery store. No. You had 2 blowouts in 6 months, and both blowouts when you were coming to see your boyfriend, who we don't want you to go see. I call bullshit. And this is why I call this story the blowout, because I want you guys to understand what Shakira and I are going through. I want you to understand what we're going through. Just to make things clear, I suspect that her mom, Mama Jessie, and Grandpa are spending their money on resources, whether it be through social media, technology, internet, stalkers, paid off security guards. They have a whole program in place with a budget, I guess, because we're not talking about 1 or 2 people. We're talking about multiple professionals who used to work for the FBI, as well as some bonehead family members who are trying to stop and end our relationship, to the point of almost causing Shakira's death. And I know I just said something big, but let me explain. Okay, let me explain. The reason why I said that they're willing to employ resources that even threatens the life of Shakira. Remember my story time that I mentioned earlier? We're about to connect dots. Now, I told you that in my story time when our tire blew out with my friend was driving an SUV that stood up high, right? When you drive an SUV that sits up high, if the tire blow out, it has a tendency to tilt. A wide body car is not going to tilt because it has a lower center of gravity. But an SUV built narrow and high, if a tire blows out on that type of a car, oh yes, it can tilt. And if it tilts, it ain't coming back up. It's gonna flip. And I told you how my friend, when our tire blew out on his SUV while he was driving it, it flipped, it tilted, flipped, and he flew out of the window. And two other people in the back seat flew out of the window. I did not fly out of the window because luckily I had my seatbelt on at the time. Now, on this second time, when I told you Shakira tried to come see me, she has I think it was a Land Rover SUV, built up high and narrow. And I just told you how on one trip she tried to see me and the tire blew out. And then months later, right, on another attempt to come try to see me, a tire blew out again. This time she was driving an SUV. And this is what makes me outraged. Because there's no way in hell a tire blows out 2 times in a row when you making an attempt to come see me. And in that same, and especially in both scenarios, there are people related, tied to her mom and grandpa that are trying to stop her. On the second time, she had family members trying to stop her. And the tire blew out. The tire blew out again. Again. This is why I'm sick of this shit. Because now you fucking with the life. You fucking with the life of your daughter. You want her to not see me so bad that you will have her tire blow out 2 times. And the second time is on an SUV that can flip over. Do you know that there could have been a chance where you could have killed your daughter with this bullshit? Because I know if you got somebody to install tracking mechanisms on the truck, I know damn well you told them make sure you can do something to blow that fucking tire off. I know you did, bitch. And I'm calling you out on it. I'm calling you out on it, Mama Jessie. And this is an addition to other shit you're doing. Like when I'm corresponding her through mail, you went and stole her mail while she was at home. Miss me with that bullshit that sometimes I get Shakira's mail when she's out of town. Well, guess what, bitch? She wasn't out of town when you got her mail when you stole her mail. She was right there in the house. And we got you on, you, grandpa, and another family member was stalking the damn mail lady, just hanging out in the neighborhood, loitering. That's crime number 1. Coming in the neighborhood uninvited without permission is loitering. Then when the mail lady came and dropped the mail, then you walked your ass to the mailbox, took the mail, and left. And you weren't getting no damn mail from no out-of-town Shakira. Shakira was in the house. So that means you created a federal crime, bitch. Listen, Mama Jessie, Shakira and I are sick of you in this shit, and Grandpa. And it needs to stop now. It needs to stop now. Now, you think we handling the business with that sorry ass joker, Jeremy? You next, bitch. Because guess what's going to happen? Once we start tracking, because they always say, follow the money. Follow the money. So once we do more investigation and find out more about this bitch, Jeremy, guess who it's going to lead us to? The person paying them. And I can guarantee the person paying them ain't the manager at McDonald's. It ain't the grocery store clerk at Publix. The only person that could be funding this effort with motive is you, bitch. And Grandpa. So I want you to hear me. I want you to hear me clear. I'm not going to stop on you. I'm not. And forget all this mess. Shakira ain't gonna hide you, bitch. If you gonna do dirt, goddamn it, you better own up to it. If you gonna do dirt, bitch, you need to own up to it. And I'm gonna make you do it. I'm gonna make you do it, bitch. And then let me tell you one more thing. You ain't gonna sue me. And I'm gonna tell you why. The same reason Grandpa ain't gonna sue me. Because the shit has to be untrue for you to sue me. And I got shit and evidence on you stacked to up to the ceiling, bitch. You don't want to come to no courtroom with me. You don't want to come to no courtroom with me. You fuck around and sue me, I'm gonna make your head spin in court. Believe that. Believe that, Mama Jessie. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this ends my story time called The Blowout. And now you can see why it's called The Blowout. Because I want you to understand the context in which we're dealing with. I was in a situation in which my tire blew out with a friend of mine, and our truck flipped over, and we could have died. Shakira was in a situation in which she tried to come see me in her SUV, and her tire blew out twice trying to come see me. And her mama sitting up there funding the effort to make the tire blow out, and then she got the nerve to be trying to be the fucking hero after the fact. That's how much of a fucking lowlife she is. And I didn't bite my tongue. This is Ebony Man 2K, and I'm out. Mama Jessie and Grandpa, please look on the screen, please. Put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. Now, this is my latest fortune cookie message that I thought was quite interesting, and I thought it'd be good to share this with you. FYI. This is Ebony Man 2K. All right, guys, on a lighter note, I wanted to run something by you, an idea that I'm working on. A lot of you guys know that one of my favorite artists is Lauryn Hill, and I've done music premieres, a music premiere on her in the past that's been very successful. But recently, I always kind of want to mix things up and do something different. And I think Lauryn Hill might be the right artist to try this idea on. Now, Lauryn Hill is a very special type of an artist. Obviously, she's an R&B singer and has multi Grammys that reflects that. But she's also has experience as a rapper. She kind of reminds me of CeeLo, right? CeeLo is a great singer, but he's also a rapper as well. And just like CeeLo, Lauryn Hill does the same. Now, when I say that she raps, I'm not talking about what she kind of raps or, she raps on the side. I can make an argument that I can't tell you what's more entertaining from Lauryn Hill. I cannot tell you if it's her singing or it is her rapping. They are both at the height of expertise, if you will. Lauryn Hill is a great rapper and also a great singer. So this is what I was thinking about doing. I think I'm about doing a Lauryn Hill music premiere where I call it Lauryn Hill versus Lauryn Hill. Okay. Now we've heard of different type of verses going on. There's a verses that compares one artist against another, and they compete. Well, we're going to try something a little different, right? We're going to do a versus of Lauryn Hill versus Lauryn Hill. But in doing so, I'm going to highlight her rapping skills versus her singing skills. And let's see which one wins. Because right now, I can't tell you which one I like the best. I like both. A lot of you know Lauryn Hill as an independent R&B artist, but she started off in a rap group called the Fugees. And the Fugees have a lot of awards as well. I think at one point they had the highest rap group album sales of all time. So they let you know that she has a great background in the rap era. In that group was also Wyclef Jean. Okay, just kind of give you a little backstory. Wyclef Jean, another guy named Pras, and Lauryn Hill had a group called the Fugees. Okay, so listen, this is idea. I think I want to premiere this sometime this week. In the comment section in YouTube or in IG for those that are following Shakira, let me know what you think about this idea. I want to do a music premiere of Lauryn Hill versus Lauryn Hill, where I highlight her rapping skills versus her singing skills. Okay? All right. This is Everyday Man 2K. Let's get it. Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair. Sand in the clouds. Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps staring around, one who can't move. Where are the clouds? Send in the clouds. Just when I stopped opening doors, finally knowing the one I wanted was yours, making my entrance again with my usual flair. Sure of my life, no one is there. Don't you love farce? My fault I fear. I thought that you'd want what I want. Sorry, my dear. But where are the clouds? Quick, send in the clouds. Don't bother, they're Isn't it rich? Isn't it queer? Losing my timing this late in my career. But where are the clouds? There ought to be clouds. This is EB2K. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. If you look on the screen now, you'll see the three little monkeys. Now, I have a niece and nephew, and when I would visit them, sometimes they would ask me to tell them story times or sing them a nursery rhyme. Well, me and my sister had a hard time trying to get them to stop jumping in the bed, right? You know how kids are when they're very young and active. They like to jump and do flips and all that in the bed. So as a deterrent and kind of giving them an idea of what could happen, I used to sing them a nursery rhyme. I don't know if you heard it before, but it's called No More Monkeys Jumping in the Bed, right? And it's a nursery rhyme that pretty much describes monkeys that jumped in the bed, but they fell out of the bed and bumped their head, and they were hurt from jumping in the bed and bumping their head. Now, when I think about monkeys bumping their head, I can't help to think about Mama Jessie, Grandpa, and Jeremy. In a lot of ways, to me, when I think about the three, they remind me of the three monkeys that must have bumped their head. And let me explain. In this whole situation with the invasion of my privacy and also Shakira's privacy, there's a lot of underhanded things that Mama J, Grandpa, and Jeremy have been doing in invading our privacy. Okay? I've mentioned them before. It's been a combination of crazy things like Mama Jessie stealing Shakira's mail, Grandpa paying people off, paying security guards off, Jeremy hacking her accounts, blocking her posts in chat rooms. It's been a whole smorgasbord, if you will, of tomfoolery on behalf of Mama Jessie, Grandpa, and Jeremy. But, ladies and gentlemen, here's the biggest insult of them all, okay? Just listen to me carefully. This is the biggest insult. You would think at some point, right, that Mama Jessie, Grandpa, and, I don't expect too much out of Jeremy, but especially Mama J and Grandpa in regards to their relationship with Shakira, since they're all related. You would think at some point that they would say, you know what? We've been doing some foul things to you, Shakira. We are purposely invading your privacy, purposely hacking your accounts, purposely cutting off communications with cell phone between you and Rick. Okay. We realize that we may have different opinions on how we feel about our relationship, but you know what? We've been wrong on the way we've handled it, right? You would think at some point, with all this craziness, that they would just say, they will own up to their misdeeds. No. See, that's not what they're doing. Here's the insult of it all. Not only are they invading the privacy of Shakira, but they double back and say, listen, we fought you, Shakira, for telling everybody what we're doing, right? Instead of them owning up and being an adults, especially Grandpa, who a man would own up to his misdeeds and responsibilities. But no, a grown ass man and Grandpa, instead of him saying, you know what, let me backtrack, let me change my ways, let me better myself as a person, a grown ass man like Grandpa, a sorry ass bitch like Grandpa, goes to his granddaughter and say, it is your fault that we're in the situation we're in, Shakira, because you telling everybody what we're doing. That's the insult of it all. That's the bitch madeness of it all. How in the hell are you a grandpa in your 50s and you supposed to be a leader of the family and you supposed to be the CEO of this big real estate company, but it's Shakira's fault? it's Shakira's fault. You mean to tell me that you manage employees? You mean to tell me you got a company? You mean to tell me you negotiate multi-million-dollar deals, but you can't figure out Shakira? Nigga, get the fuck out of here. You got to be the sorriest ass man on this side of the Mississippi if this is so. And Mama Jessie, you got a daughter, right? You got a daughter, and you telling your daughter, yes, I am doing dirt on you. Yes, I am listening in your conversations. Yes, I'm invading your privacy. Yes, I am stealing your mail. Yes, I'm doing all other foul shit. But daughter, I fault you for telling everybody that I'm doing it. Listen, man, Mama Jessie and Grandpa are low down wealthy people. And I know that sounds like a contradiction in terms, but it can be so. You can live in a high society and you can have money and still be a person that ain't worth shit. When I think of Mama Jessie and when I think of Grandpa, I think of Donald Trump. All three of them got money, but all three of them have no respect. Do you hear what I'm saying? Mama Jessie, Grandpa, and Donald Trump got money, but I don't respect them. And a lot of people don't respect them because they are wealthy lowlifes. That's going to be the new term for 2022. And I know initially it sounds like a contradiction in terms, but that's exactly what Mama Jessie is, and that's exactly what Shakira's grandpa are. They are wealthy lowlifes. A play on words. A play on words. Two wealthy lowlifes. Jeremy is just a lowlife. Jeremy is just a lowlife. But Mama Jessie and Grandpa are wealthy lowlifes. And I didn't bite my tongue. I did not bite my tongue. Now, with that being said, I would like to introduce to you the three monkeys that bumped their heads. Mama Jessie, Grandpa, and Jeremy.
Two little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. So Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. One little monkey jumping on the bed. He fell off and bumped his head. So Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. No little monkeys jumping on the bed.